بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Today we have a very important guest. Her name is Mina Amir. She is an organizational psychologist, educator, and a scholar-practitioner. She has been associated with education for the past 17 years, mashallah, out of which the last 8 years have been spent in Islamic education. She is a director of organizational development and Montessori programs at Ilm Academy, renowned Islamic educational institution in Metro Atlanta. At Ilm Academy, she established the first Islamic Montessori program in Metro Atlanta and expanded it to over these years, which now serves early childhood to elementary education. She has provided training and development for several Muslim women who have now become certified teachers. Sister Mina has a bachelor degree of science in psychology and a master degree in industrial and organizational psychology. She is now pursuing her doctorate in education policy, organization, and leadership with a concentration in human resource development. Her research focus Muslim women experience in American workplace. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Sister Mina.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Jazakallah khair for having me here.
So, Sister Mina, mashallah, you've been with Ilm Academy for as long as I can remember, because that's where, my daughter goes there. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
As you have introduced, before I say anything, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Salatu wassalam ala Rasulun Kareem, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Thank you for having me here. As you have introduced me already, I moved from Chicago almost 8 years ago. Before joining Ilm Academy, I was already working in an educational field. And then once I moved here, I joined Ilm Academy, which was the first experience for me in an Islamic education. And since then, I've been associated with Ilm Academy.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. So what I would like to know is, what's your view on the importance of Islamic education here in America?
It's a great question. My perspective about Islamic education changed within the past 8 years dramatically. I see how Islamic education can shape our youth, and especially within the past 15 to 10 years, the decade, how education is changing its dynamic in American education. Islamic education is becoming fundamental for Muslim youth, especially our children. I see that it's not just giving the Islamic knowledge and Quranic knowledge and Arabic knowledge. It is more than that. It is providing them the environment where they can nurture themselves as Muslim and hold their identity, embrace their identity as Muslim, and then cherish it. That is the most important part that we are one of the challenges that we are dealing with right now, that most Muslim students and Muslim youth, Muslim children are not celebrating and acknowledging their identity as Muslims in America, because of the majority is not Muslim. They want to hold their identity as they want to affiliate themselves part of the majority, and because of that, they're losing their own identity.
Yeah, that's a
So
problem.
providing the Islamic environment is critical at the moment, because that's when they understand their differences, they hold true to their values and principles, and they understand that we can hold our identity and we can be part of the Muslim community within this larger uh, assimilated society, and we don't have to give up our identity to other groups.
Absolutely.
There is a problem that we see most of the time, that most Muslim students or Muslim parents come and say that we don't want them to be the sheikh and scholar, and that's not true
Subhanallah.
all the time. And they say we are just here to get them enough knowledge so they know what Islam is and then move on. But when we talk about Islamic environment, they don't have to come out as just sheikh and scholar only. They can be doctors and engineers and anybody in any successful field.
Exactly.
Is just holding on to their identity and embracing it as Muslims. That is the most important thing.
You mentioned this. I know doctors, like medical doctors, who are sheikh at the same time.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
they can have both. Some of them they even have a third thing that they do besides being a doctor, a sheikh, and something else like educator.
Yeah.
So I see. I think they have short view on their how they view the Islamic education in that
Yeah.
case.
And I think it is the overload that we are living in an information age, and you can see the desire to be part of or conform to the majority group and be
Exactly.
accepted in that majority group. You have to conform to their values. 10 years ago or 15 years ago, it was okay, but now when you're looking at the public school system, educational system, where everybody is now questioning their own identity, their biological identity, any other identity, as a matter of
Yeah,
fact,
that's as crazy as it can get.
you can see that holding on to our Muslim identity is extremely important, and the kids will see it, that holding on to this identity will help us hold on to our principles and Islamic values for the
Absolutely.
later in life, or for their own children, because we want our kids, our children, to stay Muslim. We want their kids, if anybody is thinking about Surat al-Mustaqim for their generations to come, they have to think about Islamic schools and providing them Islamic environment.
That's absolutely true. I completely agree with that. Jazakallah khair, sister. So, as far as pros and cons uh, for Islamic school versus non-Islamic school, are there any pros and cons?
Definitely there are. If I start looking into the pros and cons of secular education, for example, non-Islamic education or non-Islamic schools, we can see that the pros are you get the exposure for outside world, different cultures and diversity and all that fancy terms that you can imagine. Yes, you get to see the good in that environment and the bad in that environment. But until a child knows that how to differentiate between good and evil and what is right and what is wrong, until the parents are confident and the children have enough knowledge to cope with the differences and deal with the challenges, there's a con to it that it gets cognitive overload for them, that, oh, should I follow my religion, my faith, my values, or should I conform to the majority within the school?
Exactly.
When you're looking at the schools right now, recently and within the past 5 years, it's becoming a challenging for parents, that the library, if you ever even watch the library, school board meetings, you see parents, American non-Muslim parents, are raising voices against books in the library that have inappropriate material
Yep.
for their kids,
I've heard about
indoctrination of other ideas that are not aligned with our Islamic values and principles, teaching them certain things, telling them you can choose different identities however you want. These are not aligning with our values as Muslims.
Absolutely.
For with if you are looking at these challenges, there is only pro to Islamic education.
Subhanallah.
You do not
Subhanallah.
see any other harm than protecting your kids in an environment where you see that if my daughter or son is going to Islamic education, I don't have to worry about their privacy in their bathroom, whether any non-biological child using the bathroom of a different gender, having the sanctity of the respect of daughters and sons.
Yep.
Not
Or
worry.
books that have contents that
That is inappropriate, extremely inappropriate, and too early for them to get exposure of.
exactly.
And there are multiple other factors that we can talk about. For example, there is a proximity effect in a psychological concept. So we call it proximity effect and mere exposure effect, that you tend to like people who you seem affiliated with, and you are in a proximal range to that. So if a child is exposed to other Muslim community members, for example, there are teachers who are wearing hijab, they are aligned, their values are aligned with your values, and they are learning the same thing. They are following the Quran and the Sunnah.
Absolutely.
What would you like more than
Of
that
course.
effect
You know,
that you cannot deny?
once I had to go home, bring something that Hissa forgot. So when I walked in, was the assembly,
Yep.
and I heard them saying the dua and Quran and things like that to
Yeah.
start the day.
Yeah.
I'm like, I felt so happy, so joyful just hearing the kids saying the dua, repeating, and the Quran. I'm like, this is the best
this
place
is
for my
if
child to be.
nothing else best, this is the best, because
Absolutely.
this is where a Muslim's child, or all Muslim children, feel belong. They
Exactly.
create the sense of belonging, that even though we are not part of the majority group, we are still part of a larger group where we hold our principles, our faith, our religion, our deen most valued, the guidance of Quran and Sunnah most
No,
valued,
no.
and they get the exposure, the good exposure, the positive
Absolutely.
exposure to be a better Muslim for the later on.
Inshallah, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, sister. This is very good.
Well, yeah.
The information is actually promising.
Yes.
Parents who have not sent their kids to Islamic schools, they need to see this. They need to hear what you just said, and think about it. It's a serious matter that it's the future. It's our future as Muslims.
Yeah.
Is those kids and how we raise them. So may Allah reward you, inshallah, in this life and the
Jazakallah
hereafter.
khair.
Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum.
Our dear viewers, sisters, and brothers, Jazakumullah khair for watching. And we thank you and thank our sister for joining us today. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam.